It's time for MacBreak Weekly. Leander, Kahney is here from cultofmac.com, filling in for Alex Lindsay. Andy Ihnatko, too. We'll talk about Lion, the latest from the iPad 2 camp, and Apple. Should it declare victory? We'll talk next on MacBreak Weekly.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for MacBreak Weekly is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is MacBreak Weekly, episode 240, recorded March 29th, 2011. King of the Hump. MacBreak Weekly is brought to you by PDF Pen and PDF Pen Pro. Go paperless and easily edit and sign PDFs with the affordable PDF Pen toolkits from Smile Software. For a free demo, go to smilesoftware.com/MacBreak. And by GoToMeeting. Business travel can kill your company's profits, so do more, save more, and travel less with GoToMeeting. For your free 30-day trial, visit gotomeeting.com/MacBreak. And by Freshbooks, the easy online invoicing service that gets you paid quickly and makes you look more professional. Get started with a free package at freshbooks.com. It's time for MacBreak Weekly, the show that covers the latest from Cupertino and the folks at Apple. Joining us right now, as usual, Mr. Andy Ihnatko and the Squirrel Cam. Hello, Andrew Ihnatko and the Squirrel Cam.
Well, now that Regis and Kelly Lee is folding, I thought I'd try out an eager young co-host to sort of lighten the demographic. I think I'm trending more towards a middle-aged nerd. So by getting some younger eye candy, we feel as though we'll get some of that Facebook generation.
We're going to get the big squirrel demographic.
Exactly.
I'm excited.
Also, a lot of dogs who like to stare at things and bark.
Squirrel.
There's a lot of consumer money there.
Squirrel.
We're chasing the consumer dollar.
Ozzy's going, squirrel.
Squirrel.
Squirrel. We'll explain that in a moment, but first let's say hello to Leander Kahney, who is, of course, the guy behind the Cult of Mac. Turn around. Your head doesn't have an apple shaved in it, does it? That's, focus. What's focus? What does focus mean to any of us? You are. You're a little bit like that guy who's always out of focus. Why are you out of focus? Are you?
I'm in focus for me.
Oh, good. For you, you look good. Oh, well, see, sometimes what Skype does with inadequate bandwidth, I don't know why it does this, but it makes it look softer. It uncrisps it. But Leander, most people are listening via audio, so they're thinking, what are they talking about? He's in perfect focus for me. Perfect.
Your audio is perfectly sharp.
Perfectly sharp. So I think a big story for Apple fans today is that Amazon beat Apple to the punch and announced cloud storage for MP3s. Something that Lala was doing, right? Is this kind of like Lala? Is this kind of what Apple was thinking of doing in North Carolina? Andy?
Maybe and maybe not. I tried it out this morning, and it's very, very simple. They've added a cloud storage service that's free for everybody. You get 5 gigs for free. The twist is that since they sell so much content, any purchases you make from Amazon MP3 will supposedly automatically be added to this storage, and it doesn't count against your 5 gigabyte total. As a matter of fact, you will get another 20 gigabytes of free storage just by virtue of the fact that you're buying Amazon MP3s. The other nice hitch is that you can download a free helper app that I installed it, and it scanned my entire iTunes library for any kinds of audio content that
neat.
its streaming player could actually handle, and allow me to upload the entire collection, just selected playlists. So we're not talking about just Amazon purchases here. Any MP3, any file that their streaming cloud service can handle will be uploaded automatically, and you can play it all back via the web, via a very nice little player that manages playlists. It's a really nice iTunes-ish sort of experience. And if you happen to have one of those Android devices, they'll also give you a free app that lets you transfer all that content into your device, stream it without actually downloading it. It really is quite slick. And if there are people who are a little bit on the fence between Android and iPhone for pocket devices, and I think that's a very, very smart thing to be doing because the Android devices are getting much, much better. A lot of people, I think that's going to tip the scales for them.
There is no iOS version of this.
There is no iOS version of it. On your Mac desktop, obviously the web player will work. If you load up the web player on your iPad, it will load in, but it won't actually function. So it does work via Adobe Air. So that's probably the hitch to it. I don't know if Amazon would even be prejudiced against iOS. They've always been interested in just making sure that anybody can buy their content and play it on anything. Realize that there is no device that does not have a Kindle app available for it. So I think that the reason why it's only available for Android on mobile devices right now is because that's where a lot of their talent is right now.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw an iOS player in the future. And if we saw that web player open up to iOS, another
and I can't do it with Safari right now, right?
You actually can, yeah. You can play it through mobile Safari.
Oh, okay.
But only one song at a time.
Really?
Yeah. You can't do. It's kind of, you have to hit the download link, and then it opens up in.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, well, meaning that it will actually. Meaning that
play individual songs, but not you can't make playlists.
So it's playing via iOS Quick Look.
It's something like that. I'm not really sure what it is. Yeah, I think it opens up in whatever. Yeah. It'll open up in whatever application you've associated with whatever file. So QuickTime, I think, most frequently.
Interesting.
If you have, you can do it inside one of the browsers, the other alternate browsers.
I'm trying that right now just to see.
Because
actually, most interestingly, it'll play video too.
Oh.
So,
but now, do they currently store stuff in? They don't. It's only music right now that's in the cloud.
No, you can store it. It's a regular Dropbox style storage. You can put anything you want.
Look at this. Your browser is not supported.
Yeah, that's what I got this morning. And if you click through that, it will load up the player. And I was able to tap on songs, and it looked like it was trying to play it, but it would just never. The scrubber would never move past the 0 minutes, 0 seconds.
Are you doing this?
You have to click and hold, I think, or and hit the download link. There should be a pop-down menu.
Okay. So instead of the player link, I have to do the download link.
Yeah.
And then, so I'm going to check that and download. That's just kind of a workaround because,
Well, that's just the standard behavior that would work in any web browser.
Right. So now I'm just going to try. Yeah, except I'm going to try. It's going to play it, as you said, Leander, through QuickTime.
Yeah.
Okay, but one song at a time. Hey, at least I have access to it.
That's standard iOS.
Yeah. Is there any way I can save that now to my iPad? No.
Well,
I don't believe so. No.
No, I don't think so. But someone's going to come out with an app pretty quickly.
I think it's just a matter of time, and I don't think there's any reason why there shouldn't be an app, right?
I think Amazon's going to come out with that. I don't see, and they're not a company that cares. They don't have allegiance to Google. They just have allegiance to their own app store and their own content store. So I think I would not be surprised if somewhere inside there was a decision that let's develop the Android app first because given that we own an app store, we know for a fact that we can get this installed on all. It will get approved for all Android devices. We're not so 100% sure that if we write the iOS app first, that Apple will allow it immediately.
It's kind of an end around on the music companies. It in effect means that once you bought a song on, when you buy a song on iTunes and you download it, without Apple will, you can only download it once. You're supposed to back it up, and we know that you can call Apple once in a while and say, "Oh, I lost everything," and they'll kind of let you re-download it. But you're not supposed to. Now, if you buy something on Amazon MP3, it's on your cloud storage up to 20 gigabytes. So in a way, that's kind of like re-download. That's the only thing, it seems to me, that it's of real advantage. I guess being able to stream it to your phone is of advantage, although with RDO and Rhapsody and all these other streaming services, I'm not sure you gain much by that.
But there's a difference between ownership, even with the
people like to own
ownership.
Yeah.
Right.
People like to own. Yeah.
But also remember that it's not just the stuff you purchase; it's also the stuff that's already on your system. So I can upload it. I quickly uploaded 2 playlists, and that means that now any device that I have that's not an iOS device can access that and play without any syncing.
Leander.
Well, the fact that Amazon can do this now has got to be a sign that the record companies are loosening the licensing terms a little, and I'm sure it's going to come to Apple too. Apparently, the big problem with Apple implementing this was that the record companies wanted to assure that people were downloading to devices that they owned and not download to other people's devices.
Is there a guarantee through Amazon's system that that's the case? I don't think so, right? You could play
I have a clue. I don't think so, no. I just imagine they're loosening it up a little.
I just log into my Amazon account and on any device, and I could play it.
That's what I found so interesting. I would have expected that all Amazon MP3 purchases would transfer over, but it was transferring over stuff that I'd ripped from CD and stuff I downloaded from God knows where. It doesn't seem to. All it seemed to be looking for is it encoded with the right type of encoding for the streaming players to serve.
Yeah. This was what the rumor was that Apple was building the North Carolina data center for, that they were going to, that's why they bought Lala, because Lala did something similar.
Right.
So
this is what the Lala thing did, yeah. This is what the Lala service did, almost exactly.
So, this is good. 20 gigs is not enough for many people. I don't know, 20 gigs is, I couldn't put my record collection on it, but I guess I could put 20 gigs of music. That's the significant amount. It's more than I could put on my iPod, I guess. Is it?
Right, you probably should build playlists just for streaming.
Wait a minute. I can get a 160 gig iPod, so I could even put more on my iPod.
Yeah, but remember that's just for free content. If you want to expand it, you can. Plus,
that's right. Everything you buy on Amazon. So if I think this is my understanding, 20 gigs immediately opens up when you buy an album on Amazon, but everything you buy on Amazon does not count against it. So you could buy all your. This is a big advantage for Amazon. If all music you buy on Amazon is stored for free automatically.
That's my understanding. I do have a couple questions in just to make sure that I understand it correctly, but that is my understanding. And doesn't it give people sort of that extra sort of oomph that if they don't, there's a lot of people, they don't really know whether they should be buying music via iTunes or via Amazon MP3. This is a nice advantage. If I know that every single purchase I buy, I don't even have to worry about ever uploading it back to this Amazon cloud service, that I know that I'll have it on iTunes. I know I'll automatically have it available for streaming wherever I go. Over the course of a year or two, all the albums and all the tracks just automatically being available for streaming. That's interesting. That's definitely going to turn my head.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think this is great. Leander, do you think Apple will immediately, like in the next week or two, announce something similar?
I doubt it. No.
No.
I think Apple's, that they've got time to take their time to come up with some, alternative. But I think they've got to get into streaming. I mean, all of the most exciting music services are streaming. Spotify, radio, Napster, Rhapsody, even those guys, are pretty good. I got a Sonos system.
Love Sonos.
It's absolutely awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, because I use radio on Sonos. Yeah, I can use Rhapsody or radio on Sonos. Oh, now that would be a nice app, and I bet you Sonos will announce this any minute now. Is it access to your clouds, Amazon Cloud on Sonos? That gets very so. For those who don't know, I know you know, Andy. Those Sonoses are those Wi-Fi. They're just speakers you plug into the wall that hook up into your Wi-Fi and then can play music from the internet radio. Pandora, Rhapsody, Rdio, and can play your collection using the iTunes music server. But even better if they could use this cloud storage. Then from now on, I mean, I guess the question is, why buy from iTunes? Is this going to hurt iTunes?
I don't see any point in buying music at all.
Why not just steal it all, put it on Amazon? No. But if you're going to buy music, this is a major advantage. Well, you're right. I mean, you've got RDO, you've got Rhapsody, you've got Spotify outside the U.S., so you don't need. You pay the $10 a month fee, and you've got it.
It makes much more sense, I think, because you get a whole bunch of new music. You get a much bigger access to a much bigger library than you would if you were buying it one song at a time from either iTunes or Amazon.
I know nobody cares about this. Is there a quality concern? Do I get better quality music if I buy it on Amazon? Isn't it 320 kilobit MP3s?
Yeah, they were one of the first ones to go to high bit rate.
Yeah,
high bit rate and unlocked. Although it's going to really define for people how they listen to music. I like Rhapsody and I like I like Pandora, but I like to have music that I own and I control and that I can just simply assemble and get on the fly. I'm not sure how comfortable I'd be making sure that my access to my music is always dependent on a separate app. So I do like buying and downloading MP3.
But let me ask the question again. Does this mean that? Well, actually, I can ask the chat room too. Alex Lindsay, who's not here today, he's taking the day off. He's in Paris, I think. Is always said, "Oh, but the experience buying music is so much better on iTunes. That's why I don't buy it, even though I know it's cheaper on Amazon." I've been buying most of my music on Amazon these days. Does this mean a mass exodus away from iTunes, or are people going to stay with iTunes just because it's easy?
I'm not sure if there could ever be a mass exodus away because it is so simple, especially since that there are always those mobile apps allow purchasing to be so easy and so pretty much instinctive. And Alex is right. iTunes does a really good job of saying here are things that are similar to the thing you're looking for right now, but I find myself more and more, if I use the iTunes store to browse, I'm very often going to the Amazon store to purchase.
We should mention that this is right now, as of now, this is U.S. only in the Amazon MP3 store. So I'm talking about U.S. only at this point. Of course, if you're outside the U.S., you'll continue to buy where you buy. Dr. Mom says I'm going to leave iTunes because of this. Lennon 201 says you'd have to be seriously lazy to choose iTunes over Amazon now. Unless you set your account to auto-renew to a paid plan, the 20-gigabyte plan reverts to a free plan 1 year from the date of your MP3 album purchase. So you have to continue to buy one MP3 album purchase a year to keep getting the 20 gigabytes. I don't know what the paid plan is. Have they announced a paid plan? Additional storage plans, oh yeah, here they are available from 20 to a terabyte. Holy cow, so a terabyte is $1,000 a year. I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh. You could put video on this as well. 500
also known as the BitTorrent plan.
So it's a flat rate $1 a gigabyte a year. That's what it costs. $1 a big gigabyte a year. It's free though if you buy 20 gigs is free if you buy one MP3 album from Amazon, and of course, as long as you continue to buy all your songs. This really does encourage you to buy your music if you're going to buy music from Amazon. But Leander, You're not giving up your what do you have? Spotify? What do you have?
Actually, I do have Spotify, yeah, but I had to go jump through all these hoops to get it. I had to buy a, what do you call it? A VPN, a British VPN.
Right, because you can't do it in the US.
London IP address.
Yeah.
But I use it for the BBC's iPlayer too.
So you already have that.
Yeah, so yeah, and it does, it goes a little bit too far. But, radio here in this country.
I like radio, or RDO, or whatever it's called. I like it.
And I think times have changed. Steve Jobs was right when he said that people want to own and buy their music and they want to buy it at $1 a time. But, that was 10 years ago. I think these days now it makes much more sense to get a subscription service. And even Rhapsody and Napster are really good, too. What's
really interesting is that an audiophile will say this. This is the end of high-quality recordings. I mean, it just means everybody's using MP3 now. And why would you, I mean, you'd have to be...
I guess that's true.
I don't know if that's the end. It's everybody that we know buys all of their music digitally, but the last time that I saw sales figures for what percentage of the entire music market is CD, it's still hugely the majority of all sales worldwide. It's trending downward, but it's still... I seem to remember it's still something above 70% or 75%.
Are CDs?
Physical media is still by dollar unit sales the main driver of sales.
There's nowhere in my little town of Petaluma that I could buy a CD. Oh, I take it back. Starbucks, they have 5.
Really?
But there's no record store anymore. The last one closed months ago. There's a Best Buy down the road out of town that still sells CDs. Last time I checked, but who sells CDs anymore? Target, Best Buy, Walmart,
Amazon.
Amazon. Yeah, you're right. I could buy.
I still buy if almost all of my album purchases are still via CD, because if I'm going to buy the entire album, it's worth a couple extra bucks to have uncompressed, highest quality archival that I could then transcode into whatever compression format I ever want at any time.
I agree. But then you've got this plastic you've got to get rid of.
I'll keep it. No, we'll keep it, because that's why later on, 10 years from now, I might want to remaster it to something else. And because it's an unlocked, uncompressed format, I'll have a really good master to go from. If there's any reason why I will always have at least one storage locker, it's so that I always have all the paper books that I might ever want to remaster, all the Laserdiscs I might want to remaster, and all the CDs I might want to remaster.
I have to say
and the comics.
that audiophiles are increasingly a minority, and that almost everybody now listens to compressed music with crappy earbuds on an iPod.
Right, exactly. If you're listening through your iPod earphones, you're not gonna tell.
It's terrible, and this just encourages that. Although in a way, more people are listening to music than ever before. But on the other hand, the music that they're listening to is of somewhat inferior reproduction.
One of the interesting things about Amazon's move today is that it shows that they are probably a much bigger competitor to Apple than most people give it credit for.
Yes, sir.
They're the only one. The big weakness with Android is the lack of a content strategy. They don't have a store where you can go and buy music and movies. It's not easy to get. It's still a pain in the ass to get video onto your Android tablet. You can't load it up the way you can.
Just a matter of time before Amazon does that, right? I mean, they've got the Android App Store now, much to Apple's chagrin. They've got this cloud storage on Android now. I think it's just a matter of time before they're doing cloud storage sales of music and movies as well as music. In fact, I don't know why they didn't launch that.
Yeah. I honestly feel as though this is kind of like that moment in the game where the manager walks up to the mound, puts his hand on the pitcher's shoulder, and asks for that ball. Because Google has had a few years now to actually do something serious with Android, and they've been nothing but beating batters and consumers for 3 years now. This is Android saying, guys, you got kind of an okay OS here. What you need is a bunch of grown-ups who actually know how to make a consumer product.
I think from Google's point of view, that's exactly what they wanted. I don't think Google wanted to become a retail giant.
That's great. All they care about is making sure that what they want is people to use the OS and to use their browsers so that they get the click-throughs and they get that metric and that information.
So Google's glad to leave the mound and say,
I'd say so. They would have been gladder if their bookstore made any traction whatsoever. Yeah. They would have been gladder if they were able to do anything with selling music and content like that. I think that deep down, when they gonna get them good and drunk, they'll admit that we have no idea what we're doing there. We know how to. There are layers between the CPU and the user, and Google gets lost somewhere well before the user. And at some point, that's where you hand the ball to someone like Amazon to make a nice final product.
Yeah, and I think that it also raises, monopoly questions that Google doesn't want to have to answer. So it's nice. Let there be an ecosystem. That's where Apple's success is, in this kind of unified ecosystem. But if Google does it all, there's going to be a lot of antitrust questions. So it's good. Google likes it. Yeah. Let Amazon do it. That's great.
I agree.
That's good. And I think Google makes its money in advertising. Last I checked, I don't think they care. Very interesting. We're going to find out what Andy's doing with a squirrel eating behind him, and frankly, that squirrel is hungry because he hasn't stopped eating since the show began.
That's a different squirrel. Labor law says that we have to hire twins, and so they get every squirrel gets 15 minutes on, 15 minutes off.
Perfect. Do they have a little spit bucket?
No child, no animal rights letters, please. They're really very happy there.
We'll put a disclaimer at the end of the show saying no squirrels were harmed in the making of MacBreak Weekly.
No trans fats in the peanut butter either.
It's healthy food. Coming up also, a visit from Kat and Neil, the guy who puts together those crazy geek cruises, Macmania. I was just on the Macmania 11, had a blast. You've been on many Macmanias, I know, Andy. And there's a couple coming up that I'm not going to be on, but I thought it'd be fun to get Neil on to talk about them. One I'm not going to be on because it's going to San Francisco. However, I have already told Neil if he wants to do an excursion to the Twit Cottage for that particular cruise, we'd be glad to have a bunch of tourists, lightly inebriated tourists, come up here. It'd be great.
Although you should make them require that they have the exact same polar gear that you bought for South Pole.
We'll put them on a bus. They can drive by the cottage, stop, take pictures, and drive back. It'll be great. No, you can't come in.
Some penguins on hand.
Yeah, that's the one thing missing. Penguins. We'll get some penguins. Hey, before we continue, though, I would like to say hello to my friends and your friends. I know Gene is so great at Smile Software. It used to be Smile on my Mac. They've redubbed themselves. It's smilesoftware.com. If you go to smilesoftware.com/MacBreak, you could take advantage of a deal right now on a program that I have just been having a blast with. Somebody asked me, actually on the radio show this weekend, he said, I have this form I have to fill out. It's a timesheet, basically, every week. It's the same damn thing every week. They email it to me. I have to print it, write it, and mail it back or fax it back to them. Isn't there a better way? I said, yes. Go to smilesoftware.com and enter the 21st century. Actually, smilesoftware.com/MacBreak, so we get credit for it. Smilesoftware.com/MacBreak. And take a look at this great program, PDF Pen and PDF Pen Pro. There's a free trial, so you can try it before you buy. What does it do? Well, Don actually did a great screencast, so you can watch a screencast there to see what it does. It allows you to open up a PDF file, make corrections, sign it. You even have a library. I have a library with my signatures and my initial. My wife's signature, my signature are initials, so I can buy a house. I can do anything. She's given me full license to steal. You can scan an original and edit it because it's got basic OCR built in. You can redact. I just redact for fun, just to have a good time. I just take
to make yourself look more interesting.
Yeah, I'll redact things from a contract. I'll put nonsense phrases in there, then black them out. It's fun. This is a really great program that allows you to annotate, edit, modify PDFs. Everybody uses PDFs now, even the IRS. If you're doing your taxes, they've got a form-fillable PDF, but it'd sure be easier to just get the forms and download them, and you'd be set. This is such a cool program. You can draw, you can write, you can even shrink. Sometimes PDFs are awfully big. You can resize them or cut pages out you don't need, repurpose them, stamp them with a watermark, all of that. It's wonderful. I want you to try it right now. And the best thing to do is go to smilesoftware.com/MacBreak and take a look at it. There is the basic PDF pen is $59.95, and then there's also the Pro version. You can get free trials there. I am duty-bound to tell you it's also in the App Store, but we don't get credit when you buy it in the App Store. On the other hand, you might want to do that. There's an advantage to doing it in the App Store because, this is really frustrating to me with this App Store thing. A lot of apps, actually rebuying things like I rebought Aperture, not only because it was cheaper, but because then the App Store does the updates automatically. So, you know what? I'm gonna take a hit here. We won't get credit for it. But you might want to buy it in the App Store. PDF Pen Pro, smilesoftware.com to find out more. Smilesoftware.com/MacBreak. Go there. Just bring their server down, and then you can buy it somewhere else. That's all we ask. It is really a great program, and we really love the Smile Software folks. There's no way we can track it if you buy it in the App Store, unfortunately. But it's so much easier. What do you? I mean, Leander, don't you? I mean, that's kind of one of the issues I have with the App Store. Is you're seeing, well, there's even forking of programs. I think that Bare Bones software has different, like Text Wrangler's different in the App Store and stuff. And now, of course, WWDC is coming up. Apple announced it will be in June. Thank goodness they announced it more than a week ahead of time this time. I mean, last year, poor developers had like 2 weeks to make their plans to come to San Francisco. Sold out in one day, immediately, even though it's a $1,500 ticket, sold out immediately. They are going to have, unlike last year, they're going to have Apple Design Awards for Macintosh apps, but only if they're in the App Store. So Apple's definitely got a little bias towards the App Store. I'm got a bias towards the App Store. I love this idea of, once I bought an app, being able to update it automatically. It knows what I've bought, and I can just press update, just like you do with iOS. Here's something I wonder about, though. Look at all these purchases. This is going to get pretty long. I don't find any way to delete these from, even if I haven't installed it on this computer, for instance, I still have stuff in here. Is this list just going to get longer and longer and longer? These are my purchases. There's some structural issues here. What's your take on this, Leander?
To be honest, I haven't actually used it that much.
Oh, you will. You will.
Yeah, it does look pretty slick. It does for software what iTunes did for music.
Right. And so I'm really tempted to buy more and more apps in there.
Yeah. I bought a new MacBook Pro a few days ago.
Did you get the new one?
And,
those are sweet.
And that's just the colossal pain in the butt because they're the 4 apps I've bought from the App Store. Click one button, they all download, all revalidate. Yep. I had to go find my Aperture code. I still have to find I had to re-download my Scrivener code. And of the 6 or 7 apps I really, really need to make this into a daily workhorse. I've only got 3 or 4 of them working because I'm still looking for registration codes for 2 or 3 of them.
I can't wait till everything's in here, and I was disappointed because I was reinstalling Logic yesterday on my son's computer. The hard drive died, and Logic's not on here. I was going to pay them more money. They got an extra $80 out of me just for the Aperture.
If only Aperture was made by the same company that runs that app store, there should be they'd have a way to revalidate this existing registration.
They do have a way, because guess what shows up in there? If you bought iLife 11, which on the new computer the iLife 11's on there, it says installed in the App Store. So now it's part of the system automatically, even though I didn't buy it in the App Store. Nothing to say. Mr. Jobs? Oh, he's not with us. So anyway, that I got off on a tangent.
You should dare him to come on the show and refute these allegations.
Yes, dare him. No, I don't. Wait a minute. Where's my wallet? I got cash. Well, maybe I don't. But if I'll tell you what, I'll go to the ATM, Steve. And what do you think it'll take? 100? 200? I'll $200, Steve Jobs. I'll have cash for you. All you have to do is come on the show. It's yours. That's a recycled Saturday Night Live joke. I shouldn't really take credit for that. You remember that? They offered the Beatles $100 to reunite.
No, $3,000.
$3,000? Okay. We will give you.
And unbeknownst to Lorne Michaels, John Lennon and Paul McCartney were like at Lennon's house watching Saturday Night Live that night, and they actually would have come, but they decided, it's kind of late. We're kind of tired. We don't want to come in.
Oh, where'd you read that? That's a great story. I love that.
That's from Paul McCartney.
That is a great story. Yeah, we thought about it. We could have used the money.
and now there's a Lorne Michaels Lorne Michaels head size hole in his office. Like, damn it!
Because remember, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Michael, the guy with the little glasses and the weasel fetish, who held up the check. Maybe it was Lorne.
Lorne Michaels.
Lorne Michaels, not the other guy.
Made out to the Beatles.
The Beatles.
You can split it up all you want. If you want to give Ringo less, that's up to you.
So Andy, I take it you're using this. You're using the HDMI dongle, $40 fine dollars, exactly. And it goes onto your iPad.
Yep.
And the squirrel left.
Oh, it's okay. It's a shift change. it's like the Warner Brothers cartoon. If you look at the very, very top, I'm sure that he'll be coming in any time now.
Oh, that's funny. Does he actually pop up?
Yeah, it's like
now. Is that playing off your iPad or is that off?
We discussed it. Yeah, there he comes. Yeah. We discussed it. It's more dramatic. It's like the Lion King. He comes in from the top of the rock.
The circle of life.
Behold, the only thing greater than yourself, this world.
Wow, you even called it. You said you knew what time it was going to happen. That's
again. I run a very professional operation here.
Jiminy Christmas. So
it's not that my power and influence in this industry.
I will never again. Is that off your iPad or is that?
That's off my iPad. Yes.
Oh, okay. I played with this last night. The mirroring on the iPad, it does fully mirror, as you said. It's very cool. I mean, I have to change the screen to dot by dot so that it will not try to stretch this out to 16.
You mean on your TV?
On my TV. I told the TV, just take it as you're getting it. Don't zoom it or stretch it or anything. But so it's you get black bars on the side. It is it's 4:3. But I'll tell you what I played, which really looked fantastic, and was this this is going to be a 1080p game on here.
Yeah,
cool.
They showed a preview, and the frame rate is spot on.
Oh my God!
Already it works. You can already mirror and play with it, but a future edition is going to be full 1080.
I'm talking about Fireman's latest version of their Real Racing game, Real Racing 2, which HD. Let me turn off the sound. And as you said, I think you were the one who said this is going to be a great controller. So I'm steering like this, but watching the big screen TV.
Yeah,
really cool. Yeah.
It's
they spent $2 million.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Leander. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Leander.
I'm sorry, Andy. Yeah, they spent $2 million to develop that app.
What? Really?
$2 million. Yeah.
Holy moly! Why was it so expensive?
I have no idea. I'm trying to get some answers from them because this is I thought it was all. This is the most money I've ever heard of anyone spending on an app.
Yeah, $2 million.
And it's
that's real. That's PC. That's PC game territory. Actually, it's cheap for a PC game.
Right, but it just goes to show. I think this is becoming a big business deal.
Well, let me think about that because how much is it? It's $10. So they have to sell, quite a few of them. Although I guess they could easily sell. They could make their money back, right?
I think so.
Well, it's funny that their other game is the big money. Is the big, was the big hit really?
Fireman's that airplane game where you land in the airplane. Airport control. Yeah. But that was that's a very. I guarantee you they didn't spend $2 million on that. So you steer this by steering the accelerometer. And so when
the gyroscope,
right? Yeah, or maybe it's the gyroscope. I don't know, but it worked on the old. It works on the old iPad, so I'm thinking it's accelerometer. But what's cool is this makes a lousy control if you're staring at the screen, as you can see. I'm tilted. But if you're looking at a big screen TV, suddenly you've got a steering wheel that looks like a box of cornflakes.
Yep. Yeah. I think it's interesting though. I think it's going to actually. I tweeted about it when Real Racing released their first teaser video of it. I thought that my reaction was, my God, this is going to be a really interesting adaptation. This is going to be a really interesting change to the gaming market. And very correctly, a lot of people who are serious gamers said, well, look, you're still dealing with the idea that you have a controller that has a big wire sticking out of it, and no one's going to take that seriously. Yeah. But the answer to that is that there are so many people like myself who really can't spend $300 on a console. It's not that I don't have $300. It's just that I don't spend. I'm not that involved in gaming. I don't have friends coming over spending
casual
a full day.
Yeah,
right. I would certainly, and I love games like this on my iPad. My iPad is my gaming system, and if you give me the ability to play high definition games on my TV, that will turn me from a guy who spends maybe $50 a year on iPad games to maybe a guy who will spend $100, $200 on iPad games.
The squirrel just jumped down the back of your shirt. I just, in case you didn't notice that.
Later.
But people are going to have to spend.
That content's for premium subscribers. Age verification required.
I would love to see it on AirPlay as opposed to having to use this cable. Maybe there are technical limits to how high the quality of the video can be and all of that, but.
But can you imagine like a John Madden NFL game where every single player in the room has their own private display so they can put in their own calls and one joint display for the gameplay? That's the point at which a lot of people will suddenly start to stop seeing the iPad as it's a great device and it also plays some really good games and turn it into this is the game platform for this segment of the gaming population, the serious gamers who really need a huge display and all kinds of controls on it. That's interesting.
Now, people are in the chat room are saying, oh, come on, $499 plus $10 plus $40. Okay, but nobody buys this just to do that. We're just saying it's kind of, you get it in addition.
That's another reason why I don't own a game console, because I have $300. God bless this industry. I will make another $300 in the future, but it's this device that I would be using. It's $300 device I'd be using maybe an hour or two per week, and so it just doesn't make sense. I need this iPad. I use this iPad. I love this iPad, and I get a free gaming system with it. That's how I tend to see it. That's how a lot of other people are going to see it.
Right. Coolest thing to use an old iPad to do. Let me see if I can get this link up. To show you. Yeah, we have to translate it from some odd language. Danish. Danish. As soon as Google finishes the translation, apparently it's working extra hard today. The Google's working a little hard on the translation. Turn it into... now it's a slideshow. I hate it when they do this. That means I'm going to have to load each page, translate it.
Yep.
Yeah, I got bored after about 3 slides.
Yeah. Into a typewriter. Actually, we talked about this a little bit on the Daily Gizwiz. This is a real company that lets you use your typewriter to type on your iPad.
And I could wear my steampunk glasses while I do it.
So it's a USB kit that converts a traditional typewriter into a USB keyboard, which I think is a novel, not cheap, but it does work. Kind of crazy. You could put it, we've seen this one also, put it in a cabinet. Good uses for old iPad ones. Tom Merritt demonstrated how if you have the case, the magnetic cover, and you could slap that on your refrigerator, and the whole thing goes, phoom.
Yeah, I'm so worried about that, though.
I know we do not recommend this.
My pick of the week. My pick of the week is actually a mounting bracket for the iPad that I actually really like.
Okay.
But one of the modes that I went through is I've got these the MIT flea market. I now have a serious collection of weapons grade magnets that if you've got a child that's being unruly and they're wearing like a set of coveralls with a metal buckle on the back, this magnet can definitely hold that child against the fridge for the rest of the day until he or she settles down.
One word, and yet, neodymium.
Exactly.
It's the key.
And yet I think about, I hold this my personal iPad, the one that I personally spent money on, not the one that Apple owns, and I think, how upset would I be if this just suddenly went ka-clump off the fridge and broken in a bazillion pieces? And I thought back to this moment when I looked at this magnet and this glue holding it together and thought, Andy, I bet that could fail at some point in the future. I think I'd feel pretty damn stupid.
I think it was brave because Tom not only did it, once he did it on the refrigerator, then he went on an expedition around his home to see what else he could glue it to. I believe he glued it to the water heater.
Well, that's just what happens when you buy a tube of 2-part epoxy or a hot glue gun. First you do the thing that you're supposed to do with it, and then once like the vase has been rendered, it's like, I wonder if I could stick this to this.
Exactly.
Hey!
Yeah. I can't remember
all the things. It's a spatula with a CD and a Lego guy on it.
His washing machine. But you just slap it on. You're right. I'm not sure I would recommend it as a permanent installation, but we will have a solution later. I mean, Leander, this is if you write a sequel to The Cult of Mac, clearly you're going to have to add iPad to this.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
It is. Look at this guy's turned his iPad into a safety jacket. He's embedded it in the back of his jacket and shows whether he's turning left, right, or stopping. I think that's a good idea.
I don't think I own a single article of clothing or an entire suit that costs as much as an iPad.
Yeah, right. How about this? Somebody's embedded it in an old iBook. You know, one of those old clamshell iBooks. It's faster. It's higher res. It's superior in every way. Got more RAM.
Yep.
Wow, that's pretty. You know what? That would work fine. I think that's a clever solution. I think. WWDC, we mentioned this. It's sold out one day. They did announce it will be in San Francisco early part of June. This is their developers conference. They did also announce the Apple Design Awards for iOS and Mac apps only. But here's the real question. Will they have an iPhone 5 to announce? I'm keeping now, I would love to get your reaction, Leander and Andy, on this. I keep hearing rumors that in fact, June will not bring us an iPhone 5. What are you hearing, Leander?
Yeah, the same thing. That they're not going to update it. Although it's kind of conflicting. I mean, I've heard NFC, 4-inch screen. There's been so many rumors that they are going to do something, but then there's been a lot of counter rumors where they're not going to do anything at all.
This is Joshua Topolsky apparently still writing it in Gadget, saying they just, all the suppliers are saying they haven't ordered parts yet. I guess it would make sense if you're a Verizon customer, you'd like them not to ship a new iPhone so soon.
Right, and they got a Wi-Fi phone as well coming out pretty shortly, which doesn't make any sense if they're going to update the hardware.
Wait a minute, say that again?
Well, the white iPhone too, the white iPhone 4.
Oh, they're really
still on track.
You're kidding? No,
well, this is what Phil Schiller said this a couple of months ago, that it was going to be this spring.
So maybe the iPhone 5 is just a white iPhone 4.
Well, it makes sense because I think Apple's always had this problem. They update their hardware too quickly. And just as they get the production lines up and running to full steam, they go ahead and rip them down and put out something new. So they tend to, they need at least 2 years, I think, to get their money's worth out of.
Well, 2 years does make sense in the sense that that's how long your contract is with your carrier. So you can get a new iPhone every 2 years for $200. And you could jump carriers if you wanted to, but that's not what they did in 2007, 8, 9. I mean, don't you think a lot of people expect a new iPhone and will be disappointed?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. I think people are going to be there's going to be riots in the streets. There's going to be people do expect part of it's a given, isn't it? They get a new
Egypt, Tunisia, Syria, and now Yemen, and now San Francisco. What do you think, Andy? You agree?
I'm not really sure. I haven't heard anything specific about lack of new hardware. It would be less of a surprise than simply a difference from what everybody's expecting.
Right.
But all the information comes from places that you can read. Jim Dalrymple, I do read The Loop as often as it updates on Google Reader, and so when he says something like that, that certainly is an interesting data point to me.
Do you think they're credible? I mean, Jim's credible, right?
I like the Loop has a pretty good track record by my site. But the other thing that I find more interesting, this isn't something that I've seen written elsewhere, is that it's possible that Apple knows that they already have a pretty hefty plate of things to show off for WWDC, and it's possible that they're just saying, do we really want to spend 45 minutes showing off a new phone? Especially considering that we really want everybody's attention on the fact that we have. Now that Mac OS and iOS aren't merging, but they are becoming a lot more intimately connected with what one can do with the other. Don't we want the focus to be on the idea that we are Borg, we are one, resistance is futile, when we could just simply kick out a release for a new iPhone the next week, the week after that, host a special event, and handle it there?
Well, this raises an issue that I thought I would talk about today, and certainly be something that I would love to hear your guys' opinion on. I think it's time for Apple to declare victory.
Get a parade?
Yeah. I mean, seriously. And not shipping an iPhone 5 would be that kind of a declaration. Like, hey, we don't need to give you a new iPhone. What's wrong with the old one? We got an iPad 2. We got an iPhone 5. We got the MacBooks. We got the MacBook Air.
Or are they going to say, come on, beg for it. Beg for it.
Yeah.
Come on. Jump.
Say uncle.
It's right here. iPhone 5, larger screen, 4G. Jump for it.
No, I really think that this is, at this point, they can say, we won. I mean, Microsoft? No. Look at the problems Microsoft's already having with Windows Phone 7. Look at the other tablets. The Zoom. I saw the Zoom yesterday in Costco. Not exactly a line.
Yeah, I know.
No, this is why Apple, is so special. This is why Apple stays ahead, because they're always so paranoid about getting their asses kicked by somebody else. They're always their own fiercest competitor. Look at the iPod. No, they never rested on their laurels with the iPod.
True. They have now.
And it got to be
Come on, the laurel resting has begun with the iPod.
Well, it's switched to the iOS. It's now a touchscreen device.
Yeah, they won in the iPod, so they said, okay.
But they came out with a much better solution than the iPod. I mean, they could have been churning out higher capacities, bigger and bigger hard drives forever. Right. But why bother, exactly? So they've come out with the iOS, the iPhone, the iPod Touch.
In fact, there's even rumors that the Classic's done. I mean, they're not going to even do this. It was the only way you can get a 160 gig iPod. And they said, why even bother? They haven't updated it in 2 years.
But I think there's something to what Leander's saying, because I can't remember the last time that Apple released as defensive a commercial as the new string of commercials for the iPhone, where they have to say, do you want to read books? Do you want to listen to music? Well, you'd better have an iPhone. And even people who really like Apple, like me, are saying, yeah, here's an Android phone that has all of those things. And also, I mean, this is a new phone, Verizon's new HTC Thunderbolt. And it might be it's probably the first Android phone where I could definitely see myself, if I had a choice between an iPhone and an Android phone, I would be very, very tempted by this phone. I would still go with the iPhone, but that would be chiefly because of its App Store. But it's responsive. It works nicely.
Which one is that? Is that the new Sprint one?
That's the new one from Verizon.
Verizon is the Thunderbolt.
It's the Thunderbolt, right? And chiefly, I got it so I could check out 4G speeds. But the more I use these larger screen phones, the more enamored I get from them. I get by them.
You're finally coming around, Mr. Ihnatko. I've been saying that for months.
Well, the Android still kind of sucked as a consumer device, and it's still.
I miss my Droid X. I loved that phone until it was lost in a cab somewhere in somewhere I can't remember even where. All right, let's take it. You mentioned the new ads. Let's show you the new iPhone ads.
If you don't have an iPhone, you don't have the App Store.
This is a defensive ad.
You don't have the world's largest selection of apps that are this easy to find and this easy to download right to your phone.
They're specifically addressing competition.
So it can be almost anything, like a boarding pass.
Of course, they did that with the Switch campaign, didn't they?
Like pay for your coffee. Yep. If you don't have an iPhone,
I can't remember.
You don't have an iPhone.
Yeah.
I can't remember one that was that really made me just sit back and say, ooh, that was kind of a mistake. That one is partially the sort of thing I'm talking about, but I'm talking about more about the one that says, if you don't have an iPhone, you don't have iTunes. You don't have iBooks.
Let me find that one for you. So the iPod and iTunes one. Let's look at this one here. I just like showing Apple ads. They're so well produced.
If you don't have an iPhone,
yeah, exactly.
You don't have an iPod in your phone.
Is this the one you mean?
With your music and your playlists. And you don't have iTunes on your phone. The world's #1 music store. With Genius, that recommends new music based on the songs you already have. Yep. If you don't have an iPhone, well, you don't have an iPhone.
Well, you're saying that the response to that could be Amazon saying you don't have cloud storage. You don't have...
Well, see, the difficulty in a commercial like that is that you're not. Apple would have necessarily a hard time explaining the truth of why iPhones are so good. They're well integrated. They're well designed. They're very humanly produced.
But it's hard to show that. Yeah,
it's hard to come up with examples. But when you do a commercial like that, All someone has to do is, even without knowledge of the Amazon store, simply say, if Amazon comes on and says, if you have an iPhone, you don't have direct access to the Amazon MP3 store, where you can stream all of your purchases without having to do anything.
Right.
You also don't have the direct access to the Kindle store, with the largest online library of digital products.
This is something I've been saying for a long time, which is that on feature-by-feature basis, it's very difficult to compete with Android. You have to. You end up resorting to the aesthetic, subjective.
It's not like it's not as though aesthetic is a bad thing.
No, I'm not saying that, but it's hard to demonstrate. It's
you can't compare anything from a bullet. You can't make a buying choice based on a bullet chart and simply says, well, this has a 5-megapixel camera.
I
this
can.
has a 5-megapixel camera. This one's better.
Well, lots of nerds do, don't they? And I think this is actually quite an interesting example of Apple trying to show the features, which they haven't done for years.
Right.
Even the I'm a Mac, I'm a PC ads, which were, I guess, the closest thing you could do to talking about the virtues of the Mac, as compared to the PC. They weren't that specific. It was, things like viruses and ease of use and having no IT headaches. This is the first time I've seen an ad from Apple that gets into the specific features of the product, for a long time.
So that means they're scared.
I don't know. I think Andy's right. It's a little bit defensive, but it's also a pretty good. They're reinforcing this message that here's a device, you hit 2 buttons, and it's instantly transformed into a completely different device. It can be a musical instrument, it can be a game console, it can be a productivity machine.
The great thing about Apple is that we can have this speculation. You can't have this kind of speculation about a Microsoft ad because it's clearly some monkey threw a dart at a board and they said, this is our strategy today. But Apple's very careful, very strategic. If they're doing an ad that touts features of an iPhone, there's a reason. Yeah. And I think you're right, Leander, that they've decided it's time to talk about this.
Well, they're definitely getting some heat, from all sides. Amazon is presenting a credible challenge in the media area. And Google too, as Andy says, some of the Google hardware is beautiful. These new Android phones are really, really nice devices. And even though Steve Jobs said these big screens are like hummers in your pocket, they do really.
They're not. I love them.
They're really nice.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of silly. I mean, here's my iPhone, and here's the Thunderbolt. And if you can't deal with a device that's this much larger, especially when you consider that it makes it so much cooler to be able to, when you're reading books with it. And gameplay. I mean, this is practically nothing. I don't have a single shirt pocket that is too wide for this, but narrow enough for this. So that's why
I have a hard time switching screen sizes now, though, because of all of the apps that are made.
Yeah, and Apple's been saying, fragmentation, and so they can't. I mean, it's a tricky. You start saying things like that, and then when the time comes that you would like to do some different screen sizes, that's going to come back to bite you.
It's coming out to the point now, though, where they're going to have to start to differentiate the hardware. Though I think they're, all this talk about the iPhone Nano, it's a smaller, cheaper, less feature-rich iPhone for a lesser price. They talked about the Nano. I don't think it's going to be a smaller screen size, but it's going to be like the iPod. Yeah, somewhere
3GS. Actually, they're selling a 3GS right now, pretty cheap.
$49.
Yeah. In a way, that's the Nano.
And they're advertising that too, aren't they? On TV.
I'm just going to say, Andy, that I've been trying to get you to switch to Android for a long time.
It's just
now you say it, and everybody's going, "Oh, it's time."
No. I'm not saying it's time to switch. I'm saying that it took a number of years for Android to, in my eye, become a real credible choice. And even now, it's not a case where the same user could make that same decision, either go Apple or go Android. I'm saying that if you're the sort of user for whom a huge variety or even a wide variety of high-quality apps isn't a motivating factor, that releases you from... That gives you a lot more options in Android, because that's always going to be the weakness. If you really are I need email, I need a web browser, I need to make and receive telephone calls, and I need 3 or 4 core apps, including I want a good book reader. There's a lot of stuff in those 5 simple categories available for Android, and there's some advantages to Android. If there's my top 3 things that I wish that Apple would add to the iPhone that I love on the Android it would be just alternative keyboards. I love Swipe.
Swipe is fantastic
because I can just blaze through text on Swipe. Whereas with the iPhone, I'm a pretty fast typist on it, but gosh, if I've been spending a day like in deep immersive test mode on the Android, and I've been sending 9, 10, 11 emails just by going, hello, how are you doing today? I was wondering if you got that when I said.
Wait till you discover
when I go back to HELL.
Wait till you. Oh, I can't. Every time I go back to the iPhone, it's painful. Wait till you start dictating stuff. It's the dictations I made. But
good too. That's
not my goal here.
But then you have to listen to the text-to-speech system, which is so incredible.
I'm the one.
There have only been 2 times in my life when I was testing turn-by-turn navigation. Only 2 times in my life, I got so furious, I ripped the phone out of the mount and threw it on the passenger seat to get it to shut. And it was just, I was actually having, I'm not trying to be funny here. It was actually giving me pain in my head. The voice was so bad and so grating.
I have to say, Motion X GPS. King of the hill, king of the hill. Now, so I started this by saying time for Apple to declare victory. Apparently not.
I also don't think that Apple's a sort of, they have a reputation for being arrogant, but they always have they don't define themselves by what other people are doing. To say that we've declared victory would be for them to say that we deeply, profoundly cared about what other companies were doing. And we measure ourselves by how much better we are than an Android phone, by a Windows mobile phone, by a Palm Pre, and I don't think that's the truth at all.
But the 2011, it's going to be Apple's year.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty clear. Again. I think they could declare victory. That's my thought.
I think 2011 is the year that Google's team decided, oh, wait a minute, you're supposed to hold the bat by the skinny end, not the...
I think we want to see Steve Jobs come on stage with a big mission accomplished banner. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Whole WWDC on a aircraft carrier.
Yeah, now's the time to fly in and on a helicopter, Steve, if you ever wanted to. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Captain Neil will join us. He's got a big boat Steve could use. It's not an aircraft carrier, but it's a pretty big boat.
I was going to say I would like to see like the Richard Branson photo. I think the Steve Jobs could definitely do that.
I think so.
The one where he earned the love of everybody who might not have liked him. That, you know what, if I were a billionaire, I would have my picture taken water skiing behind a superboat while a naked supermodel is clinging to my back.
That was a good picture.
I cannot begrudge him for doing that. That's kind of awesome.
Let's take a break. Captain Neil joins us. More news, too, and your picks of the week as well. But first, I want to mention our pick for eliminating business travel. GoToMeeting. I've already had this week. It's Tuesday. I've already had 3 GoToMeeting meetings. I love GoToMeeting. It eliminates the need to travel. You can meet. You can save time, save money, save stress. You don't have to. I mean, business trips just kill me because I have shows to do, folks. I can't be getting on an airplane. So for sales presentations, for product demos, for training sessions, collaboration, we've been doing a lot of meeting over the new studio. GoToMeeting, amazing. I want you to try it free right now. Just go to gotomeeting.com/MacBreak. 30 days free. Very easy to install, Mac or PC. So, it's a true cross-platform solution. So you put it on your Mac. You can send an email. It has a link to the meeting. It, by the way, has built-in VoIP or telephone conferencing. So when you set up the meeting, you're also setting up a conference call. A conference bridge is set up with a phone number, a login. But when you're, you got to try this. It's so cool. Let me see if I can describe it. So I'm setting up a meeting. I say we're going to meet, this time, this date. Email goes out. Now, my client, they maybe don't have anything installed, so I don't want to make them jump through hoops. No problem. They have that email in front of them. They click the link, takes them to gotomeeting.com, pre-fills everything. They don't have to have the software. In fact, each time it downloads, it takes 30 seconds, the latest version, so they always have the latest version. Now they see your screen, and they see a button that says, join the meeting, and would you like to call, or would you like to use VoIP? And, even on an iPad, they can use the built-in speaker and headphone. They don't need to make a phone call. Suddenly, they're seeing your screen. You're talking with them. You're presenting to them. It's very easy for them. It is an amazing way to collaborate, to present, to train. The more I use it, the more I appreciate it. It has just saved us a lot of time. And I have to say, a lot of money. I want you to try it free. 30 days. Visit gotomeeting.com/MacBreak. 30 days free for you right now. gotomeeting.com/MacBreak. We thank them for their support. GoToMeeting from our good friends at Citrix. Let me see if Captain Neil's on the line. Neil, are you there?
I am, Leo.
I love it. Neil Bauman, who is the cruise director, the guy in charge.
That's a good title. Cruise director is fine.
You started this. When was the first Macmania?
I believe 2001. I think it was
10 years ago.
Day.
Memorial Day.
I think, yeah.
You're going to have a celebration. And did you have any idea what this would become?
No, not really. On the one hand. On the other hand, my cruises had, right from the start, had attracted over 100 people. So it seemed to me that there was this interest in hanging out and extending the Macworld parties that have been going on.
That's kind of what it was. It was like a floating Macworld.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. A little more intense on the hanging with people side. On the one hand, on the other hand, it wasn't nearly as many.
But wait a minute. Now, you typically, I know Andy's done this. You typically will have 4 or 5 lecturers in a bunch of different areas. Andy's, done all sorts of topics. I've done. Give me some of the topics, Andy, that you've done on a Macmania cruise.
I did a day long on Mac OS, 4 hours in the morning on basics, 4 hours in the afternoon. I've done, one of my favorite ones was a couple hours just saying, here are all the really great free things that you get with the Mac OS that you haven't used before, and the commercial equivalents that you don't really need if you're going to have these apps. Every time I give a talk, there might be, if I talk for 12 or 13 or 14 hours, there'll be a couple hours, 2 or 3 hours of things I might have done before, but it's always, gee, what's new this year? What can I talk about this year? And there's always a really great group of people there that I know is there. I know they're there to listen. And also the other advantage is that shipboard, like the on-board ship, you don't get Wi-Fi everywhere. So it's one of the few places where you give a talk where you know that people aren't going to be just like have their heads down on their screens. They're actually going to be paying attention to you because you're the only live thing in that
choice. Yeah. Although I have to say, they've gotten better with internet access.
Isn't it amazing? They sure have.
Yeah, they've really improved it.
In this river cruise we're doing a year from next month, free Wi-Fi on the entire ship.
Now I'm interested. That's because you're not very far from land. You're in a river.
That's correct. That's correct. So it's a little easier to do, a little less expensive, right? Not a satellite link up.
Yeah, on a boat they have to use a marine satellite system to.
On a cruise ship out in the ocean, yeah.
So you got. I wanted to bring you on to give you a chance to do some plugging because you've got a couple of cruises coming up. I know there are a lot of Mac listeners. If you've never done a Macmania cruise, go to insightcruises.com. Geekcruises.com still works.
Indeed, it does. And these cruises are so much fun.
They really are. I love them.
It's hard to describe the fun. Macworld is sort of an inkling of what it's like. It's just this large collection of people that are just so heavily into their devices.
Right.
And the applications. And in the community aspect, they're looking to share and exchange information. But unlike a Macworld, the speakers are walking around. The speakers are really part of the community as well on these things.
That's what I like. I got to meet so many people, and really, it's a social event. I see you doing wait a minute. You're doing a quilting cruise?
Oh, Leo, yes. You have to bring that up, eh?
He does Scientific American. He does astronomy cruises. You're going to do a solar eclipse cruise to Australia next year in November. But you did Pearl Whirl. You did Linux cruises. But you're also doing. I went on a chess cruise. It was great. But quilting?
Quilting. Well, this is my partner, Sky and Telescope. They own a collection of magazines. And one of which is Fonz and Porter's Quilting. So they asked us to do this, and it's an interesting cruise. We take over the meeting room and put in sewing machines. I mean,
you make quilts.
Exactly. They do make quilts.
That's why you're going to Alaska. It wouldn't be really great to go to the Bahamas.
Remember, in international waters, the child labor laws for piecework do not apply.
Do not apply.
Bring the kids.
So let's plug the Macmania because the first one is next one is Macmania 12.
That's right.
You're getting out of order now. You used to do one a year, and so every 11 was in 2011.
Now, 12 is 12. Well, actually, we did a 2.5 and a 3.5, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
So, and
you're eliminating
we are
the
a little bit out of order.
Yeah.
So we've sort of, it's sort of they ebb and flow. They go when it appears we can, take advantage of a good cruise and a good location.
Now, this one, I would love it. I don't know if you've got an excursion to the Twit Cottage, but I know San Francisco is on the itinerary. You're going Vancouver to down the West Coast.
That's right. Well, we'd love to stop in at the cottage.
I think that must be on your itinerary.
We'll do it.
It's coming up September 9th through the 19th, 10-day cruise down the Pacific Coast. David Pogue will be on it. Randall Schwartz. Sal, who's always the greatest.
He is always fabulous.
He is the Apple script and automator guy at Apple. I'm not supposed to say. Naomi said, "Don't say Sal's name out loud." But never mind what I just said.
Do you do MacBreak Weekly always on a Tuesday?
Yes.
Because we're going to be in San Francisco, I guess, Wednesday, Thursday.
Well, come Wednesday, you could watch the Google show.
Okay.
Or Thursday, you could wait a minute. The iPad Today's on Thursday. You could do the iPad show.
Let's see what our schedule.
We'll figure it out. By then, we'll be in the new studio. There'll be plenty of space. Typically there's around 100 Mac fanatics plus, and then you add spouses and other family members. So it's really a lot of fun. And in this case, you're going to get to go from Vancouver to Nanaimo. In Washington, Victoria, Seattle, San Francisco, Monterey, Catalina, and San Diego. Sounds like a wonderful cruise.
Yeah, these are some places you typically do not go on a cruise. I mean, Monterey Bay.
That'll be fun. It's
even not that easy to get to. I guess people fly into San Jose and go down, but it's not a well-trafficked tourist place.
And this is a fairly affordable cruise. It starts at $1,000 for the cruise, and then what is it, $850 for the conference?
It's $1095 for the conference.
$1095 for the conference because it's a 10-day conference.
Yeah.
So you're gonna learn so much here, and it's so much fun. And
these guys are great, obviously.
Yeah, and a wine cruise that goes along with it.
Interestingly, the cruise line itself is running a wine cruise for the entire event, so there'll be wine tastings every day.
Nothing like a bunch of drunk Mac fans. I tell you, it's fun.
On a boat.
On a boat. I'm on a boat.
Then, of course, we have to talk about Mac 12, Mac 14.
This one I really wanted to go on. I was planning on going on, and my schedule is so up in the air. I can't plan ahead.
I can understand.
I would love to do this one, though. This was the cruise of a lifetime. It's Rhine River and the Moselle region.
Well, and not only the cruise, but there's the tours to CERN, the tour to the Max Planck Institute, and these are places that just the civilians cannot go.
I really, really like to go. This one's booking up fast, though, so don't delay.
It is actually we're chartering the whole boat, and it's a small ship. It's 75 cabins.
Wouldn't that be fun?
And we have 50 cabins filled now.
Wow.
With speakers. So
wait a minute, you said how many? You have 75 cabins, so you're almost there. So
correct, 2/3 is sold.
Now this one you could save up for. It's not till April 2012, so you have a year to save up for this one.
Indeed.
And what a great trip this is going to be. I tell you start in Paris or Amsterdam, and you end in Paris. Now, that's all I need to say, probably.
I would think so. I would think so.
Neil, I think what you're doing is so great. I just wanted to give you a free plug in here, because I've had so much fun on these Macmania cruises. I've been on 5 or 6 of them, and
we hope to have you back, of course.
I will come back. I know I will, and you got to get Leander and Andy on back again too, because
of course
maybe we do a MacBreak weekly cruise. I would like to do that sometime.
You might be able to broadcast.
Well, that's the problem.
The riverboat.
The riverboat, maybe. They did you guys produced the Jonathan Colton cruise.
Yes, we did.
And that was like a Jonathan Colton, Hodgman.
We had 380 or so people on that.
I mean, amazing.
They didn't do any broadcasting from there.
No, but we should do a cruise. We should do something like that. I'll talk to you, Neil.
I'm coming up actually in a month or so.
Good.
So I'll make an appointment, and we'll come.
We'll set up the grill, because he's a king of the grill.
I would love to grill, of course. I always like. As a matter of fact, I was thinking of when the Mac group hits the cottage in September, that I could actually cook for the group.
We'll set you up. We'll have a grill set up, and we'll
need a massive grill.
A massive grill.
Right.
Okay. We won't have a backyard anymore, but I'm sure we could do something. Oh, we have an alley. We'll put you in Telephone Alley.
Alley sounds great. That all I need is that and a cigar, and I'm set.
Yeah. Neil Bauman, great to talk to you.
Leo, great to talk to you.
Thanks so much
Andy
for joining us.
Nice speaking to you again.
Always
Thanks, guys.
Andy did a ukulele concert on one of the Macmanias that I will never forget.
Yeah, we had Chris Breen, who is not only the Mac expert, but also one hell of a musician. And that was one where we also had Levitas. We also had Waz. We had
a band.
That was a pretty awesome. Yeah. I think I should speak to a serious segment of the listenership who would think I would never that they would never ever want to go on a cruise and enjoy it, because that's exactly what I thought about like the first time I was invited to one of these things, because that's just not my kind of group. But man, it is so much fun when you're there with a group of 70, 80, 90, 100 people who are all your kind of people, like Mac guys who are interested. You're going to these really fun places where there are really great places in eastern Mexico and Central America. They're lovely, but I probably would not fly all the way down to go to Costa Rica just for the day myself. But you spend 3 or 4 days hitting all these other cities, doing all. It's just a lot of fun.
I got to go to Machu Picchu last time. I mean, incredible. Incredible.
I was able to add China, Korea, and Japan to my life list.
Yes.
On
one cruise
a couple years ago, and it's like, my God, what other time would I be able to spend like 10 days just having really good experiences in each one of these countries, except for and also again hanging out with cool people. Well, and having basically all you can eat buffets 24 hours a day. That's also a selling point.
It is a selling point, but to me it really is. I like boats and I like cruising, but this is nice because you're pouring stuff into your brain at the same time, and even those of us who lecture, we learn a lot.
Oh, excellent! All the great stuff that I know about Aperture and about Photoshop, I've learned because I've attended other people's classes.
Absolutely, really amazing stuff. Let's see, we got a 10th anniversary story, not just of the Macmania cruise of Geek Cruises, but of OS 10. When was Leander? What is the official birthday of OS 10?
March 24th, 2001.
5 days ago, 10 years ago. Yeah. Wow.
It was in public beta before that, but that was the official launch date for the public.
And you know what's interesting about OS 10? It hasn't, unless my memory is completely wrong, changed a huge amount, has it? From its
I don't know. Version? Yeah, I think so. Look at look at the interface.
Look at the mail app for one thing. Look at the Finder. They went through. Leander, didn't they go through isn't that the Chrome, the third change in background they went through after starting off with Aqua?
It was Aqua, then the brushed steel.
Oh, that's right. So this is from Leander's article at cultofmac.com, an image of OS 10 version 1. What cat was that?
Cheetah?
That'd be a good. Yeah, I think it was a cheetah.
They didn't actually declare the cat until
it was later.
10.3. I mean, they're always internal names, but they didn't bring them to the forefront and use them as public product names until I think 10.3 or 10.2. I think
this was the one that Steve Jobs said you could lick. It was water droplets.
It was so good you could lick them.
Yeah, water droplets.
It was beautiful for the time. It was a huge leap forward. I mean, if you remember Windows at the time and Mac OS 9.
Well, it needed to, because OS 9 was by then was really behind what Microsoft was doing with operating systems. It didn't have memory management. You crash an app in OS 9, you'd crash the whole system. Microsoft was well ahead of that by 2000. They had Windows 2000, in fact, which was much more robust and had real memory management and real task switching. So they needed this. They got OS 10 when they got Steve Jobs. It really is based on Next Step, later OpenStep, the Next operating system. And Avi Tevanian came along from Next and really spearheaded development. This was, Unix. It was based on BSD. It had that great Aqua interface. Next Step used the open PDF description for the screen, and this used Quartz, but they were very, very similar. It really, this is an example of hiring the right guy, Steve Jobs, who happened to come along with an operating system that was ready to go. Remember Pink? This is what Apple wanted to do. Was they were doing a joint venture with IBM for their next generation operating system. I think it was Gil Amelio or Michael Spindler that started Pink. That was a flop. They needed this badly.
Yeah, Pink, Dylan Rhapsody, Sonata.
I think that it was Gil Amelio, though, that made the decision. I'm not sure, but I think it was Gil Amelio that made the decision. Instead of, they were looking at, I remember Jean-Louis Gasset saying they were going to buy BOS. It was between BOS and hiring Steve Jobs. And it was Gil Amelio who said, let's go with Jobs. And absolutely the right decision, although I love BOS. I don't know. Can you say what life would have been like had it been BOS? I don't know.
I think that was an episode of Fringe.
It is kind of an alternate historic universe. Anyway, happy birthday, OS 10. No doubt about it. Just the best operating system ever designed.
Underpins so much now as well what Apple does, from the Apple TV to iOS.
Right.
It was the foundation for a hell of a lot of things afterwards.
Are you of the opinion that iOS really is OS 10 under the hood? I mean, I know they say it is.
I honestly haven't got a clue.
Yeah,
I guess it is. Yeah, I think they used a lot of the same core technologies. Apple was always good at that. It was taking even the iPod. Was using a lot of the sort of hardware expertise they had from making portables.
Steve says no interest in an iPhone radiation measurement application. If
I think he's right about that.
Yeah, that's.
I don't know.
That would have been there are two ways to really get yourself hated by a lot of people. One is to sell a padded bra for 8-year-old girls. Another would be to sell a commercial app that tries to exploit people's fear about radiation poisoning.
So you think so that makes sense. So it's a fear. An unfounded fear of your phone that this application takes advantage of, as opposed to, I interpret it as, well, this is valuable consumer information that Apple doesn't want you to know about. But I think that makes sense. If you say that it's just taking advantage of your fear, then that makes sense.
I think so.
Leander?
Yeah, I think, if you're Steve Jobs, you do not want a radiation meter on your new iPhone.
Well, that's what I'm thinking.
It's just not a good idea.
But maybe a consumer would.
Well, this argument goes back for 30 years now, and like Andy says, there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of tinfoil hat fear about radiation from your iPhone, but there's absolutely no, or from any phone, so any cell phone. But there's no, it's just like people being afraid of their smart meters that they're trying to put in here in California now.
So Gil Friedlander, who is the founder of the company TalkOn that made this app, sent Steve Jobs an email or a mail that said, it's a startup that's been working for the last 20 months on a patent-pending mobile application allowing users to see the level of radiation they're exposed to from their mobile phone. I don't know how they would measure that, actually. We're not approved for the App Store. We had very constructive dialogue with an Apple employee and his team. We're hoping the required APIs will be added to the iPhone SDK. Oh, I see. So there's a missing API that they take advantage of. He says, please approve TalkOn for the iPhone. And Steve's terse response, according to Gil, no interest. No interest. I guess you're right, Andy. That I took, of course, because I'm an Apple hater, I took the point of view that this was they just didn't want bad publicity. What if there is radiation coming from the iPhone? But you make a good point that this is bogus. It's been there's really no evidence that there's any damage from radiation from phones.
Although it'd be kind of interesting to see. I haven't looked into this. I wonder if someone submitted a book application that talked about the link between the. I'm going to, for listeners, I'm putting really sarcastic air quotes around this. The connection between vaccines and the rise of autism in children.
Would they sell that?
It was provably idiocy.
Right.
Would they allow that through on the basis that, well, I know there's no basis for this, but should we be evaluating whether or not people should be thinking about this or not?
Well, and let's also acknowledge that I don't think there's any way an app could measure the radiation. So it would be just a guess saying, well, we know there's this much radiation coming from the iPhone, so multiply that by the amount of time you've had it on, and that's the radiation we're guessing.
Yeah, I guess.
It would be a pretty bogus app. Barron's magazine says Steve Jobs is without a doubt the most valuable CEO in the world. Okay. Well,
agreed.
Nobody's going to gainsay that.
Issue 13.
Next. Lion. Are we almost? Are we going to get lionized soon? Leander, what do your sources tell you?
Yeah, it's going to be at WWDC. They'll have a fairly developed, finished Gold Master then. Although there's been rumors about a Gold Master out already, but that can't be true. They'll have the Gold Master at WWDC, and then it'll be released in the fall. After developers have had a time to code their apps for it.
Fall. Okay. So fall.
It's going to be rolled out for the developers first.
Right. But Gold Master means it's kind of it's almost done. So you think they'll have that by June? Yeah.
Yeah, they'll show it off then, and you know, maybe the end of July. I don't know, early August.
I'll tell you what, we will. You know, the thing they do at WWDC is a little tricky for us. They allow a journalist into the keynote, so you can cover the keynote, and then they shoo you out. And they have sessions for the developers, but the developers are enjoined from sharing that with journalists. They're under non-disclosure agreement. So while lots of information will leak out after WWDC, we can't directly cover it and give you that information. But after it leaks out, we'll tell you what we know.
Yeah, that's
it tends to leak out during the show.
It doesn't take long.
It
doesn't take long.
Yeah, that's why you'll hear a lot of people, especially people who are like journalists, start saying, according to a published report on appleinsider.com, and then because you know things you can't talk about, but you can say that Apple Insider definitely talked about this and selectively decide that yes, I think I'll pass this one along.
All right, let's take a let's see what I'm just looking real quickly to see Samba networking tools are going to be dropped from Lion. That's interesting. Does that mean what does that mean? CIFS or what do they use if they're not using Samba, which is a emulation of Microsoft's LANware protocol? So it's used for file sharing with Windows machines. Does that mean like Apple will drop support for Windows networking, or will do something else?
No, sure what that
got me.
Got me. We'll find out.
That was on the list.
I mean, does anyone really interested in that?
Yeah, I use it all the time.
I was like, I saw that report and I was like, okay, who cares?
I care. Okay. Well, all right. I guess one of the few people networking with Windows. Yeah, doesn't work very well.
And it was mainly because it was a GPL issue, right? It was they changed the license.
Yeah.
So
they'll figure out something.
Put in a commercial product anymore.
You have to network with Windows. You can't not network with Windows if you want to sell.
I'm much more interested in like iOS and AirPlay, AirPrint.
Oh, I know. One last story. The iPad 2 went on sale worldwide this week. Do we have any reports about availability? I know that they're going to add Radio Shack locations today. 500 Radio Shack stores will start selling the iPad 2. I guess the shortages are a thing of the past or soon to be.
I doubt it. I think they got a couple of weeks before they catch up. But look at this. Last year when they launched the iPad, it was only available at the Apple Store.
Right.
Now they've got it at like a dozen locations all over the world.
All over.
So they've got a much bigger distribution network.
And they'll sell millions and millions and millions.
Millions and millions. Yeah.
Our picks of the week are coming up in just a bit, but first I want to remind you about Freshbooks.com. If you're a freelancer or a consultant, if you send invoices, you know the pain of printing and sending invoices. It was such a pain for me that I often would just forget about it for 8 or 9 months and try getting money out of a customer 8 or 9 months after you did the work. Not gonna happen. That's why I was so happy in 2004 when Amber MacArthur told me about FreshBooks. And I used them for years. It's easy online invoicing. It couldn't be simpler. You go to freshbooks.com, you can find out all about it. It's online, so that's nice. Although they will, for a fee, print, stamp, and mail your invoices. There are still some old fogies who demand a paper invoice, so they will do that for you. But here's the deal. I think this is really great. That invoice that comes via email has a button on it that says, Pay Me Now. And they can use a credit card. They can use online payment services. They can use PayPal, authorized. There's 11 online payment services. They can even set up auto payments. Now, that means you get paid faster. A recent survey of FreshBooks users found an average of 2 weeks faster than their old invoicing system. There's also an iPhone app that makes it easy to track hours, or you can use the web app to do that too. And those hours are automatically put right into your billing. It does estimates. You could include expenses on this. You look professional because it's got your logo on it. I'm telling you, this is the way to invoice. If you've been doing it by hand, if you've been using a spreadsheet or word processor to create your own invoices, please do me a favor. Try this free for the first 3 clients. For many of us, that's plenty. Just go to freshbooks.com, click the Try It Free button. If they do ask, I don't know if they ask, but at some point they may say, where'd you hear about us? You just tell them MacBreak Weekly. You can also call toll-free 866-303-6061. Freshbooks.com. Invoicing you will love. You will love this. And even more, you'll love getting paid.
I use a couple of freelancers that work for me use that, and so I use it, to pay them.
It's easier, isn't it?
It's great. It works really well. Yeah.
See, I think, as somebody now who pays more invoices than he sends, I think that the payer wants it too, because it makes it so easy. You push a button, you just pay it, and you want to get it. You want to get it over with. The easier they can make it for you to just pay it, the better.
Yeah. Right. This is a two-click system.
You don't want to have to cut a check, put it in the mail. You don't want to do all that. So I think easy pay is the key. Let's get our picks of the week. I don't know if we set you up, Leander, ahead of time. Did you know that you would have to do this? Do you have some software, hardware, or other that you would like to select as a pick of the week this week? Or you can recuse yourself.
Well, I just started using, actually two things. There's two apps I just started using this week, and I haven't really used them that much, so there may be problems that I haven't yet discovered. But MapQuest, remember MapQuest?
Yeah.
They have a free app that does turn-by-turn directions.
Really?
And I think it's the only free mapping app that does turn-by-turn directions. Huh. And I was so flabbergasted. Like MapQuest is still around.
They're still around, yeah. Wow, I'll be
and
darned.
this is a really good app. I've used it for a couple of things, and it does, it even does recalculating if you take the wrong turn.
So it will talk to you?
Well. Yeah, and it works pretty well.
Cool.
I was really surprised.
All right, that's one. You said you had two?
Well, I haven't. The other one is a cycling app that I haven't actually used yet, but I just downloaded it. And the beauty of it, it's a GPS app that tracks a bike ride. And
which one? There's a number of them. I've used Bicycle and I map my ride and.
Right. This one's Strava. Link to Strava.com.
Strava.com. Okay.
Strava.com is sort of it's a website that for training and for tracking bike rides. Doing routes, and it's especially good for seeing how quickly you ride compared to other people on the same route.
I like that. I like the competition.
Yeah, exactly. And so this is actually really clever. It was just like the Strava app only has 3 screens. The first screen you see right here, which tells you the time, distance, speed, and then one of the other screens is how well you rode a particular section compared to other people, and this is usually geared to climbs. So if this one particular hill, you can see where you come on the leaderboard.
That's cool.
Compared to others, and it's super clever. It's like a pinball high score system.
You could be king of the mountain or queen.
Right. Exactly. Yeah,
I love that.
So, because I haven't actually tried this yet, and at the speed I ride, there's no way I'm going to get anywhere near the leaderboard at all. But I thought it was a very clever way of making. Putting some competition into a fairly solitary, sometimes a solitary activity.
Well, if you just go up a hill nobody else goes up, or it's really not a steep hill, maybe you could be the king of a hump.
Maybe a downhill.
Back in college, I was considered the king of the hump. That was many years ago.
Thank you, Leander.
Clinton was in office. It was a different time.
Times are different then. Andy Ihnatko, your pick of the week.
My pick of the week is a iPad mounting bracket. I'm proud to show off my kitchen, the only kitchen home improvement project that has ever really paid off well for me. This is my kitchen, one of my kitchen cupboards, and now you open the kitchen cupboard. Hey, look, there's an iPad there. So I've seen a lot of different iPad mounting brackets over the past year. There's this really cool one called the Pad Bracket. That if you go to padbracket.com, what I love about it is that, I'll just zoom in so you can see the thing a little bit better, is it really is next to nothing. It's just a little clip that holds in with 2 screws. When I'm certainly not in the sort of financial league where I can afford to permanently mount an iPad anywhere and leave it there just as a permanent piece of decoration. The use for this is always going to be, I want to just simply have a place, have some place handy so that when I'm at my desk, I can put my iPad there and use it. When I'm in the kitchen, there's so many times. And it's not
attached to the wall. It's like a little stand, so you can just pick it up.
It is a bracket, right? So it is a bracket that mounts with 2 screws. But the idea is that it's easy to put these wherever you need them to go.
I love this idea.
When you don't have the iPad in there, it's not like you have this big ugly frame just bolted to the wall.
I'm going to mount this to my forehead. Or maybe my wife's forehead. She says I'm always looking at the iPad when I should be talking to her.
Actually, maybe you can get one of those like Bob Dylan style harmonica stands and put this pad bracket on it for the harmonica.
Walk around.
And have a picture of your face. only you're smiling and cheerful and approachable. So if you're having a bad day, you can just be behind the iPad like,
I am happy now.
I'm so glad to see you.
This is a very, very good idea.
Yeah. As I said, it's simple, it's direct. It doesn't make more of itself than it does. The only thing is that obviously, if you're looking for something that will, if you bump against your iPad, or if there's an earthquake, or if in this door thing. If you can knock the iPad out of the bracket, if you have a desire to knock the iPad out of the bracket, or if you're really, really careful and careless. It's not designed to be a permanent bracket of any kind, but it makes it really, really easy, especially for like a kitchen application like this, where when the door is open, I can see my recipe, I can see Walton Brown walking me through how to make a Diogenesian apple crumb cake exactly the way that the chemical gastronomist said that you're supposed to do it. But when I don't need it, the door is closed, and I don't have this bracket or this anything else messing up the rest of my house. So really like it a lot. It's $29.99, but I think it's worth it. As soon as I realized that was exactly where I needed to go, I'm really glad that I installed this. I've been really stupidly over ambitious with my meals for the past 4 days, ever since having this pad bracket in there. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I'm glad I have.
I just live in the kitchen now with my pad bracket. I love my pad bracket.
You know what? I think that tonight we'll have rice and beans.
I need a pad bracket in the kitchen. I think you might have already picked this, Andy, but just in case you didn't, I have to say this is the we talked about this before, the HDMI adapter, $40 at the Apple Store for the iPad. And I'm thrilled with how well it works, especially if you're putting this on a big screen TV or a nice quality screen. The iPad looks great, and a great way to play games and so forth. It has a USB connector too, so you could plug this into the wall and keep the iPad charged. Have you found another use for that USB connector? Does that give you USB access?
Another dock connector? No. As a matter of fact, I tried to find out if when I had the I tried to find out if I could give a GarageBand demonstration and have both the USB camera adapter plugged in, and unfortunately did not work. I think it's the only things I've been able to get this second dock adapter to work with is. Oops, I think my cable's wrapped around something. That's why I was thinking of the Hump back in college. Hey. I go. The only thing I can get the second dock adapter to work with is charge and sync.
Okay.
So I don't know if you can do anything else with it. I couldn't get a microphone working.
That makes sense. So. That's what it's designed to do.
But yeah,
really.
it is. And it should be mentioned that if you have the iPad, it will only do the mirroring if you have the iPad 2. It will work with as an HDMI second screen if you have an iPad 1. If you have an iPad 2, the old-fashioned VGA adapter will also do live mirroring through VGA. But the killer app for this is just you have a big 42-inch, 50-inch, 60-inch TV in your house. And the ability to have whatever happens on this happens on that. Just makes this so much more valuable to you.
Well, and I should mention, in the Apple Store, they bill this as also working with the iPhone and the iPod Touch, as well as the iPad 1 and 2. But as you say, it will have to be an app that's enabled for sending video out. So, but
I mean, for a lot of apps work that way. For instance, the squirrel video that I've been playing all day is actually coming directly from the Dropbox app. And it does nothing. It does nothing more than simply understand that, see that there's a second video monitor attached, and simply send the video through there. So lots of existing apps already support.
Yeah, and if so does the iTunes thing. So if you've got a video on your iTunes and you've got this connected, you could also, I presume, send the video out to the TV set. It is nice on the iPad too, because you get 1080p video, which is pretty cool. So that's, I think it was $39 at the Apple Store. And I think that's pretty neat, pretty nifty, pretty cool. Lots of people have been asking me since I've been showing the iPad 2. I changed my wallpaper to this great live.twit.tv wallpaper. And people have been asking me where they can get that. It's on our Twit Wiki. It was designed by Rob G. of FailedSkateboards.com. That's a great skateboard designer. And he did just kind of a cool kind of punk design with some splattered paint. We made a T-shirt out of these, actually, that we gave away at South by Southwest. Those are collector's items because they were printed backwards. So instead of twit, it's toot. But that's okay. That's okay. But if you do want this, it is free. In fact, we have a version for the iPad, the iPhone, and desktops as well. If you go to wiki.twit.tv, and then search, the easiest thing is a kind of longer URL, but if you search on wiki.twit.tv for desktops, that's the page, DESKTOPS. And there's some other Twit desktops there as well. But this is a great one. Rob G did such a nice job. So that's not exactly a pick. That's a freebie. But a lot of people have been asking me where to get that great live.twit.tv desktop I use on the iPad. That's where I got it. I guess then you email it to yourself or something. I can't remember how I did it. Hey, it's so good to have you. Leander Kahney is from the Cult of Mac, cultofmac.com. A great website for people who want to know about Macintosh. Anything you want to plug, Leander? As long as we got you here, you plug
the
away.
website?
Yeah, or anything. You want to plug your hill ride? Anything?
I was going to talk about. Actually, I discovered a really cool hack for the camera connector kit for the iPad.
I didn't mention your article on that. Tell us about that.
I haven't written this one up yet.
Okay.
I just discovered this, but you can use any flash card as a storage device for the iPad
by plugging it into the camera connector.
And the trick there is you have to rename whatever you load onto it to disguise it, to pretend it's like a picture that was taken by a camera. So, in other words, you put it in the if it's a memory card, there's a DCIM folder that most cameras use to store pictures.
Right. And
if you can load on a bunch of videos in there and just rename them to be, I'm sorry, it has to be 8 characters. So, 00014.3.jpg. But then you can import that into the iPad, and it'll play. If it's a movie, if it's a full-length movie, it'll play inside QuickTime.
Wow!
So you're not supposed to do this. This is kind of a little bit of a hack, and you can so you can buy a 16 gigabyte iPad. And then get a bunch of big memory cards, and it'll infinitely expand the memory of the iPad.
Well, that's really interesting.
For storing movies and music and other sort of any kind of file that'll play, PDFs, Word documents, whatever you like.
Actually, I guess that's kind of like that Dropbox hack that you're doing, Andy, except that you take it right off the flash instead of off a Dropbox.
I'll have to try that.
Yeah.
I know the camera connection kit works through the Pictures and the Movies apps, so that it will rather through the picture roll. If it's a iPad compatible video file, just import it as though it was a video camera that it was importing a piece of video. I didn't know that you could put a PDF on that card and it will open the PDF. You're saying it will open the PDF as though it were stored locally?
Yeah. Apparently, any file that the iPad will open, you can store on the external card or in a thumb drive.
That's a heck of a hack. How do you navigate to it?
You plug it in, and it brings up the photo app, through the photo app, and then you just do import all, or import selected, and it'll put it into the.
So it'll import the PDF or the Word file or whatever into the Pictures app.
Apparently, yeah. I haven't actually. I've only done it with videos, and did I do it with a PDF? I might have done it with a PDF too, but from what I recall, yeah, they said it worked with different types, any kind of file that the iPad can read.
Well, I hope you will write that up and put it on cultofmac.com. There's a how-tos section there. Great place to find out about a lot of cool things. You've got hundreds of tips there. And, of course, news, reviews, apps, and deals. cultofmac.com. It's been going well since you spun this off?
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah,
that's
great.
Really
well.
We're so glad you did that. I think that's brilliant.
Me too.
I'm all for the individual media entrepreneur, as you might know.
Right, yeah. Well, one day I have to open up a studio next to yours up in Petaluma.
Deal. Actually, that's a great idea. A lot of people have been saying that I should get off of MacBreak Weekly since I'm an Apple hater, so maybe we'll just have you take it over.
You do a good job throwing a critical eye onto it.
Such an Apple hater. Hate Apple. That's why I spend. Somebody says you don't have to give Steve Jobs $200 to appear on MacBreak Weekly. You give him thousands of dollars a month. True. Andy Ihnatko is at the celestial waste of bandwidth. That's where he and the squirrels appear. www.cwob.com. You can. I love it that they appear on command, apparently.
Yes.
You can also read his stuff at the Chicago Sun-Times.
Meeting on my hands.
Thank you all for joining us. We do MacBreak Weekly every Tuesday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, live.twit.tv. Stay tuned. Our new show, photo show, Mostly Photo, is coming up in just a bit with Lisa Bettany, Mostly Lisa. We have moved Net at Night to a new time and a new day and a new name. It's called The Social Hour now. Sarah Lane and Amber MacArthur host that. We do that now Mondays at 11 a.m. We're trying to get good, strong content Monday through Friday at 11 a.m., and I think we've finally done it. So Monday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern Time for The Social Hour. The first issue of The Social Hour is up in the old, if you're already a subscriber to Net at Night, you'll get it. It's in the old Net at Night feed. twit.tv/NATN. We should probably alias Social Hour or something. We haven't done that yet, though. But a great show with two of my favorite people in the world, Sarah Lane and Amber MacArthur. Let's see. What else? Anything else to promote? We're going to be at NAB in a couple of weeks covering the National Association of Broadcasters show. Lots for people like you, Leander. Lots of interesting stuff about doing it yourself when it comes to broadcasting. And we'll have,
it's a great show. I remember seeing the big helicopters and all the other, massive TV equipment they have there, satellite bands. Very cool show.
Yeah, I'm looking for a helicopter. Yeah. We want the Twitcopter. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Break time's over. Get back to work. Bye-bye.